Let me ask you a question. If you had everything you think you need to build a project or a brand or a business all in your hand from day one, so having the right budget, having the right contacts, having the right connections, and the right circumstances for you to do what you want to do, do you think it would be better for you and you would build something more interesting? Or it would be quite the contrary? It would be worse, it would be less interesting. And here most people would answer this question saying that naturally it's better to have more resources, to have more connections, and that this is an obvious answer. Because when you have better circumstances, you can produce a better result. And actually I beg to differ, because I'm not so sure about that. Or at least this is the experience I'm having building brands, precisely with GARAGIQUE, my automotive editorial. Because at the moment you have everything you need to create what you want, you take the most obvious path. You have everything in your hands. Now you just have to use it, and that's it. You don't even have to innovate. You don't even have to find another solution, because it's right here. It's in your hands. However, when the situation is the contrary, when you don't have what you think you need, you either don't do it at all, which is also very common, or you learn to find another solutions. You learn to find alternatives that will make the thing you want to produce, the thing you want to build, possible. And here's the thing, because most people, this is more common than we think. Most people wait their whole lives for the perfect conditions. When I have X money, I'm gonna start this. When I have time, I'm gonna start this. Or no, this is not the market is not really on the timing, the right timing for me to start, so I'm gonna leave it for another time. And unfortunately, what usually happens is that they never start. And that desire to create something that they were meant to create, since they were put in this world, goes with them in their deathbed. And when we talk about perfect conditions, it is a lot easier to talk about this like a motivational coach or some marketing guru or business guru. But it is a lot better to look at how that happens in nature. Because if I may be honest, this is Darwinism at its peak. When you look at nature, when you look at ecosystems and the whole history of how life developed on Earth, look at the species that could only survive if they had the perfect environment. Most of them just didn't. They didn't survive. And the ones that actually got to see the world now are the ones that learn to adapt, that learn to change based on the environment. Because the species that were a little too comfortable with what they had, so maybe unlimited food or not a big predator, what happened is that they usually became lazy. They stopped to reproduce. They became more comfortable with the environments they were. And when the environment changed, they disappeared. They went extinct. And those who were always alert, always changing and getting more comfortable with being uncomfortable, as funny as it sounds, are the ones that are still here. And well, humans are this. We didn't live in a comfortable world for us until we made so. It was a hostile world for us until we made it more comfortable, and now we're feeling the aftermath of becoming a little too comfortable. Right? But that's a subject for another video. But the point is that the limitations are not the enemies of the progress. Instead, they are actually the engine of it. And the reason I'm telling you this, and the reason that I came here outside on a cold night of 5 degrees Celsius, is that this is what I have been experiencing building GARAGIQUE, or automotive editorial. And as ironic as it sounds, the greatest question we had with GARAGIQUE was how to make an automotive editorial without showing cars. Because in the beginning, nobody offered us a cool car for us to shoot. We cannot just take a train to Monza to show the old track just for a reels. And also, we don't really have a 1976 Porsche 911 3.0 in our garage, which actually pushed us to building something that not a lot of people can do. Because let's be honest, anyone can take a cool car, point a camera at it, and build some content around it. Anybody can take that book that comes inside the car with the specs and just read the specs. Or talk about lap times in a race. Or talk about what happened in the last race weekend. Saying who won, who crashed. But something that not many people can do is explore the philosophies behind everything that is happening in a race, or behind the building a car. What does it mean to have a car? What does it mean to build a car? And this is what drove us to the concept of GARAGIQUE, the concept that every garage tells a story. It was never about being a spectator in the automotive world or the motorsport world, but in actually participating in it. Everyone has a story about how they became passionate about cars. Maybe it was watching Cars from Pixar, or maybe it was playing with Hot Wheels and on the ground, on the floor. Or maybe it was seeing their father fix an engine in the garage. The stories only go by. And the garages also carry a lot of stories with them. Maybe it's a meeting you have with friends in it. Maybe it is fixing your car, seeing your first car leave that space empty after selling it. Or maybe even the souvenirs you brought and are filling the walls of it. And this is something that still not everyone can talk about. And this is part of the reason why we're here. And talking about adaptability, it is very important to make a distinction for us not to be contrary to the idea that we explored on episode 8 of Blueprinted, that we talked about not changing your values and being very clear about them and following them regardless of building a brand that is also supposed to lose followers. And what people get wrong about adaptability is that the first wall they hit, they think they have to change themselves completely. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. And this is not what we encourage. It is actually even more dangerous than the limitations that you had in first place. So let's look at GARAGIQUE again. What we wanted to do is an automotive editorial. Why we wanted to do it is because we believe that there were people that are willing to read something more thoughtful, more on the slow media side, that is less immediate than most of the editorials and most of the motorsport platforms out there. And because we really believe quality and we didn't find the type of thing we wanted to consume to. And what we did find is that the door we wanted to enter to reach the automotive editorial was closed to us. So instead of just abandoning everything, we chose other doors. And this is exactly the adaptability that we were talking about. Because when you change the path to the same thing that you want, you actually end up discovering other doors, other alternatives that end up being better than the first one, which is precisely what happened to us. But at any moment we forgot why we were doing this or what we were doing. So yes, you do have to be prone to adapting yourself to the market and to the timing and to the performance. but you cannot change yourself for the market or for the designer. And this is the most important distinction that will make you either a trendsetter or a trend follower. So, again, take notes on this one. Change the how while you protect the what, and never, and I say never, negotiate the why. That's the message for tonight. See you in the next one.